support this. I want to move forward, but I've always sided with my local dentists. The San Diego County of Dental Society has 1,900 members in San Diego County. These are the people that I see at the grocery store. These are the people that I sit in their chair, and they have a lot of control over my life and my future of my teeth. And with that in mind, I look forward to the opportunity to vote for this as you continue to amend it and meet their concerns. For that reason, though, I will be opposing it today, but not lightly. So thank you.
Senator Ahlquist.
Thank you, Madam President. I raised the very question that Senator Hancock mentioned. I mentioned it in Health Committee, and my real concern was the same, and that was that that people who are not dentists ought not to be performing surgical irreversible procedures on people's mouths. And to me, it was just really that simple, that we shouldn't even include that in the study, because we're talking about people who have a high school diploma plus 2 to 4 years beyond that, period. And I cannot envision a situation where I would want a person who is therefore non-credentialed to be working on my grandchild's mouth in terms of a surgical irreversible procedure. I think the bill, Senator Padilla amended the bill per my request. I think the remaining pieces in the bill are very good, and I ask for your support.
Senator Emerson.
Thank you, Madam President and members. I rise in support of this bill, and there's no mention of a high school student doing irreversible procedures on patients in this bill anywhere. As Senator Padilla has so articulately stated, this is a study, and I want to reiterate that this is a study to look at workforce in this area. There's a lot of misunderstanding, and I want everybody in this body to know that the House of Delegates at the California Dental Association passed a resolution supporting this bill by an 82% vote. So what you're now seeing is a few people who are who are dissatisfied, and they are trying to put additional thoughts into everybody's head. And I just want to say, I have a card here that says, please help. Don't experiment on California's children. Tell Senator Padilla that children deserve better. Nobody says who this is from. This is just more garbage in this debate. We are going to have a study that's going to be coming back to this body, and if there's any scope of practice change, we are going to make that decision. So let's not be confused about what this bill says right today, because I think it's very clear. And I'm asking for an aye vote, and I think it's the right thing to do for California's children. So thank you very much.
Is there any more discussion, members? Anything further on this measure? Then I'll ask Senator Padilla to close.
Okay. Thank you, Madam President. I want to also thank you and your staff in Appropriations Committee for their assistance in massaging the bill to maintain our intent and our purpose while addressing some of the concerns that were raised. I want to thank Senator Emerson for his support in committees and as well as here on the floor with this bill. And address two things. I mean, Senator Emerson pointed out these postcards that nobody knows where they're coming from. Apparently there's folks out there who feel like they're brave enough to want to convey a message to legislators, but they don't feel courageous enough to put their name to the postcard that they've mailed to each and every one of us and some of our constituents. I wish they would come forward and share who they are. And then second, just an acknowledgement of Senator Ahlquist's comments about a high schooler with 2 to 4 months training. Again, this came up in committee through some of the testimony, some of the witnesses, and it came out of nowhere. Nowhere in the bill does it prescribe what the outcome of the study is going to be vis-a-vis who would be eligible to perform any type of procedure, let alone what type of education we would command or require in order to do so to assist in filling in the gaps of providing dental services for our children. That's why we've asked for this study, a scientific-based study to help guide future policy decisions. So simply put, that's what this bill would do. Again, it's enjoyed tremendous bipartisan support thus far, and I would ask your aye vote here on the floor.
Members, that concludes the discussion. Senator Padilla has closed. The Secretary will call the roll.
Alquist. Aye. Anderson. No. Berryhill. Aye. Blakesley. Aye. Calderon. Aye. Cannella. Aye. Corbett. Correa. Aye. De Leon. Aye. DeSaulnier. Aye. Dutton. Aye. Emerson. Aye. Evans. Aye. Fuller. Aye. Gaines. Aye. Hancock. Aye. Harmon. Aye. Hernandez. Aye. Huff. Kehoe. Aye. LaMalfa. Leno. Aye. Ted Lieu. Carol Lieu. Aye. Lowenthal. Negrete McLeod. Aye. Padilla. Aye. Pavley. Aye. Price. Aye. Rubio. Aye. Runner. Semidian. Aye. Steinberg. Aye. Strickland. Vargas. Aye. Walters. Aye. Wolk. Aye. Wright. Aye. Wyland. Yee. Yee, no.
Call the absent members. Call the absent members.
Corbett, aye. Huff, aye. LaMalfa. Ted Lieu, aye. Lowenthal, aye. Runner, Strickland, Wyland.
Ayes 34, noes 2. The measure passes. Members, that concludes the Senate file, except for a few items. We're going to lift the call on SB 810, then go to governor's appointments, and then consent calendar. Senator Leno, I'm prepared to lift the call on SB 810. Will the Secretary call the absent members?
Calderon, no. Padilla, Rubio, Runner, Vargas, Wright, Wyland.
Call the absent members.
Padilla, Rubio, Runner, Vargas, Wright, Wyland.
Ayes 19, noes 15. Measure fails. Reconsideration is granted without objection. Ayes 38, no 0 on the reconsideration. And members, Senator Steinberg, would you like to take up the governor's appointments now?
Very, very quickly, we'll take up item 62. I'll wait on 61 till. This is Jim Arp and Carl Guardino as members of the California Transportation Commission. They were approved 5-0 on the 18th of January. No opposition to their appointment. I think we all know both of these gentlemen. They're good public servants. Ask for an aye vote.
Members, any debate or discussion on the appointments? Any debate or discussion? Seeing none, is there any objection to unanimous roll call? It is 37 ayes, then no zeros. And they're confirmed. We're going to motions and resolutions, members. Motions and resolutions without objection. Pursuant to Joint Rule 33.1, Joint Rule 61B2 will be suspended to allow the Appropriations Committee to report SB 924 to the floor, correct? The request has been approved by Rules Committee. Senator Huff?
Immediately after we adjourn Republican caucus in 305.
Thank you, Senator Huff. Upon recess, Republican caucus, is Senator Huff in your office? Yeah, in your office. Members, one more item. Without objection, Senate Bill 924 will be given its second reading upon being reported. All righty, without objection. Members, now we're going to go to consent, and that is file items AJR 23. Please read.
Assembly Joint Resolution 23 by Assembly Member John A. Perez relative to economic development.
Members, this is a consent calendar. And is there any objection to a unanimous roll call? That is 37 ayes, no zero. The resolution's adopted. All righty. Senator Hancock, you have an adjourned in memory. Senator Calderon, you also have an adjourned in memory. And then we'll go to Senator Wright, who will speak on condition of the file. Senator Hancock.
Thank you so much, Madam President and members. It's with great sadness that I rise today to adjourn in the memory of Octavia Bazil, who passed away Monday, January 16th of this year. She was a constituent of mine from San Pablo, but was best known to me and to many in the community for her leadership with AFSCME Local 2700. She started with Local 2700 as a steward, became a chief steward in 1994 in both the courts and the county of Contra Costa. During her time with AFSCME, she authored and advocated for a domestic violence policy that was eventually adopted by the Contra Costa County Board of Supervisors. She was president of AFSCME 2700 for 10 years, and when she retired from the Contra Costa County Superior Courts in January of 2010, she continued to work as vice president of the local until her term expired in October of last year. Octavia Bazil is survived by her daughter Lisa Hill, granddaughters Taylor and Sydney, by a host of friends and admirers. She will be sorely missed by the community.
Thank you, Senator Hancock. The desk needs the name, please, when you have a moment, and we offer our condolences to your constituent. Senator Calderon.
Thank you, Madam President. It's with deep sadness today that I adjourn in the memory of my mother-in-law, Ana Olmedo Carrasco. We called her Anita. Her husband always called her Anita, and then my wife was called Anita Chica. Ana was born in Chile on July 26, 1925, and in 1943, she met Alejandro Carrasco, and they were married. In 1956, Alejandro moved to California seeking a better life for his family. And with 4 of their 5 children, Ana traveled to California to join her husband in 1957. They moved into a 1-bedroom apartment in 1958, and within 5 years, they moved to Montebello, my hometown. When they decided to start a family, she and her husband decided they'd focus on raising their family and that it would be better for Ana to stay home and be with the children. She pretty much raised the children single-handedly, always working hard. Her husband was working and studying, making a better life for the family. She loved to cook, sew, make porcelain dolls, flower arranging, bowl, and travel with her husband. She leaves behind her 5 children, 8 grandchildren, and 5 great-grandchildren. You know, when my own mother passed away, Ana said to me the day of her services that, I will be your mother. And it meant a lot to me because my mother never got to see me get elected to the legislature. So she stood in and was proud for me. As a matter of fact, she never missed a day of voting in her life. Her and Alex voted by mail. They always called me on the local races and what I recommended to them, and if I knew anything about the candidates, and give them some consulting in those areas. They were very serious about voting, and I remember the day that Anita and her husband Alex became citizens, and they took their oath of citizenship. It was the proudest moment of her life. She was a very loving mother, a beloved grandmother, and she had a great sense of humor until the very end, when she lost her battle with liver cancer, and she died peacefully in her own bedroom with her kids. She'll be sorely missed. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Calderon, and we extend our condolences to you and your entire family. Senator Steinberg, the desk is clear.
May, Madam, a little out of order. I'm sorry. I know this will be very, very quickly. I would like to take up item 61 to dispose of that. It's the.
Then we'll go back to the file, members, and this is a governor's appointment.
This is the confirmation, Madam President, of Carla J. Peterman as a commissioner with the California Energy Commission. Ms. Peterman was heard by the committee on January the 11th and approved on a 5-0 vote. If you haven't met Ms. Peterman, you need to. She is a bright, young, and very talented leader. She's going to play a key role as our state aims to have 1/3 of the state's electricity come from renewable energy by December 2020. Very impressive. Bipartisan support. I'd urge an aye vote.
Members, any discussion on this appointee? Any discussion? Seeing none, we're going to call the roll.
Alquist. Aye. Anderson. Berryhill. Blakesley. Calderon. Aye. Canella. Aye. Corbett. Aye. Correa. De Leon. Aye. DeSaulnier. Aye. Dutton. Aye. Emerson. Aye. Evans. Aye. Fuller. Gaines. Aye. Hancock. Aye. Harmon. Aye. Hernandez. Huff. Aye. Kehoe.
Aye.
Aye. LaMalfa. Aye. Leno. Aye. Ted Lieu. Aye. Carol Lieu. Aye. Lowenthal. Aye. Negrete McLeod. Padilla. Aye. Pavley. Price. Aye. Rubio. Aye. Runner. Semidian. Aye. Steinberg. Aye. Strickland. Vargas. Walters. Aye. Wolk. Aye. Wright. Aye. Wyland. Yee. Yee. Aye. Strickland.
Call the
aye.
absent members.
Anderson. Berryhill. Aye. Blakesley. Aye. Correa. Fuller. Hernandez. Negrete McLeod. Pavley. Runner. Vargas. Wyland.
Ayes 31, no 0. The nominee is confirmed. Any other business to come before the House? Seeing none, Senator Wright is going to speak on condition of the file. Senator Steinberg, do you want to make the announcements for next week?
That's fine. Thank you, Madam President. Session will resume at 2 o'clock on Monday. Thank you.
2 o'clock on Monday. Thank you. Senator Wright, for what purpose?
Condition of the file, Madam President. Members, last week you may recall that on the condition of file, I spoke to the fact that Moody's, the rating service, had downgraded $11.2 billion of California's redevelopment bonds. That downgrade represented about $300 million in losses because, as many of you know, municipal bonds, the agency retains the right to adjust the cost depending upon the risk that's imposed by government actions. This week, Standard & Poor's and Fitch have also weighed in and downgraded California bonds. However, Standard & Poor's and Fitch didn't just do the 11.2, They've actually downgraded the entire $19.6 billion portfolio. So unlike the $300 million that we lost with Moody's, we stand to lose $700 million if the Standard & Poor's rating holds up. Standard & Poor's went a step further. They actually identified San Pablo, Pittsburgh, Manteca, Morgan Hill, and Menlo Park as facing even greater reductions because their bonds are even greater jeopardy than those of some of the other states. And there are other cities that are still being reviewed that may also be additionally downgraded. They also downgraded the Vista Community Development Commission and the Inland Valley Development Agency for the same reason, that those bonds occur additional risk. So taken together, we've just potentially lost almost $1 billion from our action of eliminating redevelopment agencies. I mention this because I just want to keep the toll, because what we did is actually being looked at across the country, and for the most part, for the financial community, it's being viewed negatively.
Senator Wolk, for what purposes do you rise?
Announcement.
No objection.
I would just like to announce that the Agricultural Subcommittee is having, on olive oil production, is having a hearing this afternoon, 1:30 in room 3191. You're all invited.
Thank you. Any other announcements, members, comments? Seeing none, Senator Steinberg, the desk is clear. Oh, all right. All right, members. The Senate will be in recess until 3:30, at which time the adjournment motion will be made. We will reconvene Monday at 2 p.m. This meeting is adjourned.